What's up, guys? It is the man with the hottest wheels, Corey Hot Wheels, and today is everybody's favorite day. It is time for WrestleTalk. That's right. New episode, new week. Let's talk about wrestling. So, we'll start with WWE, and first point we're going to talk about today is Jey Uso leaving WWE. On this week's edition of SmackDown, we saw Jimmy Uso explain why he cost Jey the undisputed WWE Universal title at SummerSlam, and he claimed to do it because he loves Jey and he didn't want to see him turn into a narcissistic asshole like Roman Reigns by becoming the tribal chief. So, after Jey laid out Solo and Roman, he hollered for Jimmy to come back, and it looked like they were going to reconcile. And Jey super kicked Jimmy and said that he was out of the bloodline, he was off of SmackDown, and he was out of WWE. And then he proceeded to exit through the crowd. So I'm going to give my thoughts on that. And you know, everybody's been posting stuff like, oh, Jey Uso's going to debut at All In. He's going to go to Impact with Trinity, even though Jimmy's the one that's married to Trinity. But it's like, guys, come on. Use your heads. It's a storyline. He's going to be out until about WrestleMania time. And then he's going to come back and reunite his feud with Jimmy. Because if you didn't listen to what the Usos had to say on a video, I can't remember whose video it was that they were on. They said their dream was to have a match against each other at WrestleMania. So, I believe that Triple H and company are going to give the Usos what they want, and that is to have their match at WrestleMania. So therefore, Jey is going to take a sabbatical until I believe Royal Rumble time. And I think both men are going to enter the Royal Rumble with Jey eliminating Jimmy, thus setting up their match for WrestleMania. Now, with Jimmy, I think he is going to have a match with Roman Reigns. And then after that, he will take a little sabbatical as well. And, you know, like I said, thus, you know, we wait until around Royal Rumble time to reunite their feud for WrestleMania. So, let's get into our next topic, and that is Sami Zayn on Raw. I haven't watched Raw fully yet. I've just been seeing highlights. And it looks like he had an elbow injury. Like his elbow right here was swollen pretty bad. So, and I know Kevin Owens is hurt as well. So, I mean, that makes me wonder, you know, if they are going to be stripped of the tag titles. You know, and I'll be honest, ever since they won the tag titles at WrestleMania, they haven't really been in any marquee feuds. You know, any marquee feuds. So, you know, I mean, if both men are injured, then, you know, I think this would be a perfect opportunity to split up the tag titles and reintroduce the WWE and the World Tag Team titles. Like, don't do this SmackDown and Raw crap. Because it seems like every year, the tag champs the women's champions and then the United States and the Intercontinental champions switch brands every year. So there's really no point in doing this SmackDown and Raw champions, because the past few years, they've just done title switches, and it's just like, no. Like, say what you will about the WWE and women's world titles, but that's better than having the SmackDown and the Raw women's champions, because, it'll be easier to draft them, and then each champion to have like a whole new roster to feud with. So that's what I think they need to do, which, as I'm looking at my notes here, brings up my next point in the tag title picture, which, like I just said, if Sami and Kevin are really hurt, and Sami Zayn did look hurt. I mean, his elbow looked pretty bad. Because, I seen there was I can't remember who it was, but I have this knack of watching sports injury videos. I don't know why. But, there was a Braves pitcher who had the same injury. Like, his elbow was real swollen. Like, I think he had just come off a Tommy John surgery. And, it looked like Sami Zayn had the same type of injury. So, like I said, it'll be a perfect time to split up the tag titles. So, into the next point is, apparently, Shinsuke Nakamura turned heel on Raw and is set to feud with world champion Seth Rollins. Now, under the Triple H regime, I'd love to see where this heel Nakamura goes. He's been teasing it for a while, in his little feud with Ciampa that he's had going on. And I think it would be awesome to see him feud for the world title. I mean, I don't really think he's going to beat Seth for the title, in my opinion. But, I mean, it would be cool if he did, give him a run with the world championship. But, excuse me, Shinsuke Nakamura's problem is he doesn't speak good English. So, he can't cut a decent promo on WWE programming. So it'd be cool if, they got him like a manager, to speak for him. And then he'd just be like the King of Strong Style like he always has been. But, like I said, I don't believe he's going to go over on Seth Rollins. That's just my opinion. But I could be wrong, and honestly, I would be happy if I was wrong. Because I think if they get Shinsuke Nakamura a manager that can cut his promos for him, and he just focus on being the King of Strong Style and not have to worry about cutting a promo, he'd be a hell of a world champion. So, speaking of champions, that brings up my next point. And Rey Mysterio winning the U.S. title. And this will also tie into my point after that, the future of the LWO. So, if you watched SmackDown this past Friday, we saw that Austin Theory attacks number one contender Santos Escobar not once but twice. And after the second attack, WWE Medical would not clear him to compete in the title match, so Rey Mysterio ended up taking his place and actually defeating Austin Theory to capture, I believe it was his third United States Championship. So, and it has been rumored that Santos and Joaquin and Cruz del Toro are going to turn on Rey Mysterio, thus being here. So, I think Santos makes a hell of a heel. Especially thinking back to his, NXT Legado del Fantasma days. But, I mentioned this on an episode of WrestleTalk, how he, talked to a fan after the fan kind of got overwhelmed in a meet and greet. So, I think he's made a heck of a face as well, so. But it would be interesting to see the LWO feud with Rey Mysterio. Because, what I think would be cool is if Rey gives Santos the match and Santos uses underhanded tactics to win. Thus, solidifying his heel turn. So, we'll just have to wait and see how that story goes. I know I say that a lot on WrestleTalk, but it's the truth. So, switching gears from WWE, let's go into Impact. I don't have a lot to talk about with Impact this week, but there is some points I did want to discuss on WrestleTalk today. So let's get into it. So first up we have Eric Young and the Design feud. So a while back we saw a video of Eric Young and Diener having a meeting where, Diener killed Eric Young, thus becoming the new leader of the Design. Which I believe that was a way to write Eric Young off because he did sign a contract with the WWE. But, after some creative differences and him not wanting to work with Vince McMahon, Eric Young made his return to Impact. Thought, he was the partner of Scott D'Amore in the match between Bully Ray and Diener at Slammiversary. So, thus with Eric Young coming back, he did return and get a victory over Nick Aldis. And Khan and Diener laid him out to end an episode of Impact. So then we saw what really happened, like unseen footage of that video with Diener apparently killing Eric Young, and Eric Young arose from the dead and, is now back to take out what he created in the Design. So I'm excited to see how this feud goes. Impact always, I would say a lot of times, has really good feuds going and really good stories. So, as I always say, we'll have to see how this plays out. And, after Slammiversary and the feud with Scott D'Amore came to an end, I thought Bully Ray would be done with Impact. But I guess not. He has assembled a new faction that consists of himself, Moose, Brian Myers, and Leo Rush. So, and they are feuding with Time Machine, which consists of Kushida, Alex Shelley, and Chris Sabin of the Motor City Machine Guns. And then, after he made his return at Slammiversary, Josh Alexander is in the mix. So you have a 4v4 faction feud going on right now. And I like this new team of Bully Ray because, Moose and Brian Myers or like Bully Ray, that, they want to go to the top of Impact by any means necessary. And adding new X Division champion Leo Rush to the mix, Bully Ray had a dominating faction with Aces and Eights in 2012 and 2013. So I'm really excited to see where this faction goes. And switching gears, we have the Knockouts tag title picture. So we have former rivals, turned allies after their dog collar match. Masha Slamovich and Killer Kelly. They defeated the Covenant to become the new Knockouts tag team champions. And then you add the Death Dolls of Courtney Rush and Jessica into the mix. And they have claimed that they wanted, their shot at the tag team titles. So Santino Marella, said that, they're former tag team champions, so he gave them an opportunity in a match. And then obviously the Covenant was very upset because, they wanted their contractual, traditional tag team rematch. And then appeared Masha Slamovich and Killer Kelly and said, hey, we'll take them all. So it looks like there's going to be a triple threat tag team match for the Knockouts tag titles at Emergence. And, let's talk about the Knockouts tag titles for a second. That is how you book a women's tag team division. Impact has done a hell of a job booking that division because, they bring in teams and they keep them together for a while. And, they always have heck of feuds, in my opinion, for the Knockouts tag titles. And, to do compare and contrasting for a minute, bringing back WWE and their women's tag title pictures, it's just they don't have any good feuds for the titles. It seems like every time you get a new set of champions with them, and it's not their fault, somebody gets hurt. Liv Morgan got hurt. Raquel Rodriguez got hurt. Sonya Deville got hurt. So what I think WWE needs to do instead of having women's tag titles is have, like a women's intercontinental title or something. Something to where like the mid-card talent can feud for a title. So that's what I think WWE needs to do. But other than that, I think Impact does a hell of a job booking their Knockouts tag team division. And to bring up my last point for Impact before we switch gears to AEW is, after being lit on fire and not able to compete at Slammiversary, PCO has made his return to Impact Wrestling. Now, I love how PCO has been booked in Impact since he's got there. Like the Frankenstein, the monster, like not even human, like just coming back from obscene attacks that people try to lay him out with. And now, I'm really interested to see how this feud with Bully Ray goes. I hope it culminates in like Monsters Ball or Full Metal Mayhem. And especially for PCO being in his 50s, like, the dude could still go. Like, it's amazing what that dude can do in the ring. So, I'm really excited to see how the feud between PCO and Bully Ray plays out on Impact. But switching gears to AEW, my first point is that the Jericho Appreciation Society has apparently come to an end because Chris Jericho, as it stands right now, is looking to align himself with longtime friend Don Callis and his family. Chris Jericho, ever since he's gotten in AEW, has helped people get over. And, and I think the JAS has done its time, because Cool Hand, Angelo Parker, and Matt Menard, they could go on to be tag champs. Sammy Guevara has really elevated himself in singles status. And, Jake Hager could be a single star, and then, Ty Metalow's getting ready to have her baby. And then, Anna Jay could be a threat in the women's division. So, I think it is, the JAS has had its time. And, and I think Chris Jericho is, and Don Callis are going to help, put people like Takesha over and, help elevate a new set of stars on AEW. So, that's just my opinion, but, wrestling, they love to swerve us, so it could be all just a big setup, and then JAS is getting ready to turn face, so, I don't know. We shall see. And switching gears, let's talk about MJF. At All In, he's apparently going to pull double duty because him and Adam Cole challenged Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions Aussie Open to a match at the All In buy-in show, which will be on YouTube for everyone to view. And then in the main event that night, him and Adam Cole are going to face each other for Triple B, as MJF calls it, the AEW World Title. So, I think it's interesting to see MJF pull double duty, and, I'm really buying into this MJF and Adam Cole team. I still need to get my Better Than You Baby t-shirt. Haven't done it yet, but I will at some point. And, everybody's been speculating that it's going to be Adam Cole the one that turns on MJF, and then MJF be a babyface, which I think would be interesting, because it would give MJF, like, a fresh set of people to defend his title against. So, but, wrestling promotions love money, and all the merch that has been sold with this Better Than You Baby tandem has made AEW a whole hell of a lot of money. So, I could see them milking this for a while, because it is making them a huge hell of a lot of money because it's so over. People love it, and merch sales are through the roof right now. So, and Tony Khan comes from a business family. His dad is the owner of Jacksonville Jaguars. So, I could see Tony Khan wanting to keep this team rolling because of how much merch sales it's drawing. So, and that adds to my next point of Roderick Strong in the Kingdom, because, Roderick Strong is very upset that Adam Cole has aligned himself with MJF, because over the past few weeks on Dynamite, Rampage, Collision, he has told Adam Cole, do not trust him. He will stab you in the back. He's a scumbag. And, and Roderick Strong has been very upset, and, you know, in the Kingdom, because they have history with Adam Cole and Ring of Honor, has told Roderick Strong, you know, Adam Cole always seems to forget about his true friends. And, you know, so this is really interesting because they could get Adam Cole to join them, and then if Adam Cole turns heel on MJF, then, you know, you got a good faction going with Adam Cole, Roderick Strong, and the Kingdom. So, very, very interesting, and, you know, definitely tuning in to watch to see, you know, how Tony Khan books this story going forward. And then, so it seems like there has been switching gears, it seems like there has been a collaboration, sorry, I lost my thought there for a second, collaboration between the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre video game and AEW. And with that, we are going to get Jeff Hardy and Jeff Jarrett in a Texas death match. So, you know, I mean, I know they're doing this for a collab for a video game, but, you know, as much as I grew up a big Jeff Hardy fan, you know, I don't think he needs to be wrestling in a Texas death match. I mean, every wrestling fan around the world knows Jeff Hardy's demons. And, you know, and I think a lot of that is caused by, you know, the high risk that he puts himself through. And, you know, and then he's always in a lot of pain. So he resorts to the painkillers, you know, to try to help with the pain. And, you know, and I think Jeff, you know, has had a hell of a career, and so has Matt, but, you know, I get it, they want to have one tag team run in AEW, because that's like the only titles they haven't won. So, you know, I think, you know, let them win the AEW tag titles, and then, you know, then I think it's time for Jeff and Matt to hang it up. I mean, they've had a hell of a career. They can go out high and then, you know, just be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, be inducted into the TNA Hall of Fame, you know, because they've earned the right to be in every Hall of Fame that there is in pro wrestling, so. But, you know, I get why they're doing this Texas Death Match, because the Hardys have had a feud with Jeff Jarrett and his little tandem, and they're doing it to promote the video game, which I'm excited because I'm a big gamer on top of a wrestling fan. So, I mean, look behind me at all my systems. I mean, I love video games. So, you know, and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre video game looks pretty cool, so I'll be definitely trying it out. And so, but like I said, I just hope Jeff Hardy doesn't take a lot of risk, because we all know what happens when he does that to himself. And, you know, it's just, I don't think it's necessary to put him in a Texas death match because of how brutal it is, but I understand why they're doing it, because of the collab with the Texas Chainsaw video game. But, you know, I hope Jeff doesn't hurt himself too bad in this match. But switching gears, we have a new AEW Women's Champion, and that is Hikaru Shida. You know, on AEW Dynamite 200, she defeated Toni Storm to be the new AEW Women's Champion. Now, I am glad that they gave her this, because she was the champion throughout the pandemic, which means that she won the title when there was no fans. So I'm glad Tony Khan gave her the chance to win the AEW Women's title in front of a live crowd. You know, I thought Tony Storm and the Outcasts would use some underhanded tactics to win, but, you know, Hikaru Shida deserves this, and, you know, after her win over Anna Jay on this past week of Dynamite, she will head into All In at Wembley Stadium to compete in a 4-way match for the AEW Women's title. Now, I don't know who's all in the match just yet, but as soon as I know, I will bold it here on WrestleTalk, and we will talk about it. So, bringing up the last point of this video, and this is a feud that has been going on Collision for the real world title that CM Punk brought back, because as you know, he beat Jon Moxley for the AEW title, and, you know, then was suspended after the scuffle backstage between him and Ace Steel and the Elite. So he brought back that title and drew his trademark straight edge X on it. And he had a match with Ricky Starks on Collision with Hall of Famer Ricky the Dragon Steamboat as the outside enforcer. So, you know, then referee Stephon Smith got knocked down. You know, Ricky Starks tried to cheat. Dragon pulled his feet off the ropes, and then CM Punk rolled up Ricky Starks, and then Steamboat came into the ring and counted the 1, 2, 3. And then after the match, Ricky Starks played out Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Too many Rickies there. With his own belt that he was wearing, like, you know, because how referees wear belts and stuff like that. You know, he ripped the belt off of Ricky Steamboat and started beating him with it. So, you know, Ricky Starks has a win over Punk, you know, and, you know, CM Punk has a win over Ricky Starks, so I think on Collision they will have another match for the title. But it seems like at All In, you heard after Samoa Joe's quick victory on Collision that he challenged CM Punk at All In for the real world title. So, this new real world title thing is getting pretty interesting on AEW, and I like that they have a second world title, because, you know, yeah, people are going to say, oh, they're just copying WWE by having 2 rosters, but it's like, what choice do they have? I mean, they have all this talent, and we all know WWE has the same problem. They have all this talent that they're not using, because there's not enough time to fill them all in on, you know, the weekly programming. So I think that's why this Collision was created, because I think eventually we're going to have Dynamite be one roster and Collision be another one, because, you know, there's certain wrestlers that don't want to work with each other on programming. So some wrestlers are going to be on Dynamite and some wrestlers are going to be on Collision. Now, I don't know where Rampage ties into this. We will have to wait and see. But, you know, it should be interesting. And, you know, it's always a fun time to be a wrestling fan, to watch what these promotions across the world do. And, you know, I'm here for it all. You know, WWE, Ring of Honor, Impact, AEW, New Japan. I watch it all. I don't talk about New Japan a whole lot because I can't always pronounce the names of the wrestlers. but I do watch it, you know, after Impact. I try to at least, so Okada's my guy. I love Kazuchika Okada, so, but, you know, with that said, this has been this week's edition of WrestleTalk. I will see you guys in a future video. If I don't do anything this week, I will see you next week for WrestleTalk. Take care as always, and thank you so much for watching these videos.